The quality of your thoughts determines the happiness of your life. Nearly 2,000 years ago, Marcus Aurelius whispered that truth to himself. But it lands a little differently when you're face to face with your own reflection at 3 a.m., questioning the person you've become. You know exactly what I'm talking about, don't you? That moment you catch your own eye and the thought hits you, when exactly did I stop prioritizing myself? When did caring for myself turn into this daunting, insurmountable climb that demands spa days, pricey getaways, and hours I simply don't have? The reality is, our entire understanding of self-care has been backwards. Grand gestures aren't where real transformation lives. It actually unfolds in the tiny, in-between moments. The Stoics had a profound grasp of this. They understood that a dramatic life overhaul isn't what makes you unrecognizable to your old self. It's the micro-habits, the ones that build up like interest in your emotional bank account. Think about how water wears away stone. It doesn't happen through force, but through a gentle, persistent touch. That's precisely the effect these 5 micro-habits will have on you. They'll reshape you so subtly, yet so powerfully, that 6 months down the line, people will be asking, "There's something different about you, what is it?" And you'll just smile, knowing it wasn't one grand gesture. It was 5 small, daily practices. Stoic self-care finds its beauty in its sheer simplicity. Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca weren't relaxing in Roman spas. They were running empires, teaching, facing exile, and immense difficulty. And yet, they cultivated practices so small, so woven into the fabric of their daily lives, that they became an unstoppable inner strength. Here's the common mistake most people make. They view self-care as something to pile on top of their already overflowing schedules. But authentic Stoic self-care is actually about subtraction. It's the act of removing mental clutter, shedding emotional baggage, and letting go of the habits that deplete instead of nurture you. It's about carving out space for yourself right within the life you're already living. These aren't the usual, drink more water and get 8 hours of sleep, tips. Those things are important, sure, but they only scratch the surface. What I'm going to share goes so much deeper. These small practices target the very root of why you feel detached from yourself, why self-care seems impossible, and why real change feels forever out of reach. Every single one of these habits takes under 5 minutes. They cost absolutely nothing. And they can be practiced anywhere, at any time, without anyone even realizing what you're doing. Yet together, they generate a ripple effect that reaches into every corner of your life. When Epictetus stated, "No one can harm you without your permission," he wasn't only referring to outside adversaries. He was talking about the harm we inflict on ourselves through neglect, through consistently prioritizing everyone else's needs, through the simple act of forgetting that we matter, too. Think of these micro-habits as your official permission slip to start mattering again. You aren't broken. You don't require fixing. You simply need a realignment. You're like a guitar that's just a little out of tune. It's still beautiful, still capable of producing beautiful music, it just needs those slight adjustments that make all the difference. The person you are becoming is already inside you, waiting. These habits aren't in the business of creating a new you. They're revealing the person you've always been, the one hiding beneath the stress, the feeling of being overwhelmed, and the constant cycle of giving without receiving. They're like archaeological tools, delicately brushing away the dust to uncover the masterpiece that was always there. So, here's the plan. You're going to begin small. I'm talking ridiculously small. So small your brain won't even think to resist it. So small that even on your absolute worst day, you can still show up for yourself. And then, day after day, choice after choice, you will become unrecognizable to that person who feels too tired, too swamped, and too overwhelmed to practice self-care. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button, pass this video along to someone you feel needs to hear this, and subscribe for more practical Stoic wisdom that you can actually apply in your everyday life. And seriously, stick around for the whole thing. Lock in this mindset by typing it in the comments below. I create massive transformation day by day. Ready to go? Let's get started on your journey to becoming unrecognizable. Number 1, the 2-minute morning mind sweep. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Those words were penned by Marcus Aurelius in a personal journal, with no audience in mind. And yet, 2 millennia later, here we are, finding precisely the message we need to hear. Your mind doesn't wake up clear, it wakes up cluttered. And it's not your fault. While you were asleep, your subconscious was hard at work, processing the stress from yesterday, worrying about tomorrow, and making sense of that bizarre dream about your high school math teacher. The second your eyes open, the mental noise starts. What should I eat for breakfast? Did I ever send that email? Why on earth did I say that last week? What if today's meeting is a disaster? This is the point where most people instinctively grab their phones, secretly hoping social media will magically sort out their thoughts. Spoiler, it won't. It just dumps more mental junk into an already overloaded system. It's the equivalent of trying to tidy a messy room by simply throwing more things on the floor. The first micro-habit on your path to becoming unrecognizable is what I call the 2-minute morning mind sweep. Before you even think about checking your phone, before you brush your teeth, before anything else, you're going to perch on the edge of your bed and do one simple thing: acknowledge whatever is in your mind, without any judgment. This is how it works. Just set a timer for 2 minutes. Close your eyes, or keep them softly gazing at the floor. Now, picture your thoughts as clouds just drifting across the sky of your awareness. Your only job is to notice them. You aren't trying to stop them, control them, or change them. Just a simple, oh, there's that anxiety about the presentation. There's the excitement for dinner. There's that song I can't get out of my head. There's the worry about my sister. The Stoics referred to this as prosoke, a continuous attentiveness to the now and to what lies within our control. Epictetus taught that our suffering doesn't come from events themselves, but from our judgments about them. This simple morning ritual helps you distinguish between what's actually happening, just thoughts passing through, and the story you're attaching to them, like, these thoughts define my reality. What sets this apart from traditional meditation? You aren't striving for a perfect state of Zen. You're not fighting to achieve emptiness or bliss. You're simply taking stock, like a store manager checking the inventory before opening the doors for the day. This makes it incredibly accessible, even for someone who has never meditated a day in their life. Most self-care routines fail because they demand you to be someone you're not. This one works because it meets you right where you stand. Anxious. Perfect. Exhausted. That's okay, too. Angry. Welcome, come on in. The real magic isn't in feeling different, it's in cultivating a different kind of relationship with whatever it is you're feeling. Within a week, you'll notice a shift. Patterns will start to emerge. Oh, I see. I always wake up anxious about money on Mondays. I only feel that tightness in my chest when I haven't called my mom. That underlying sadness tends to surface when I'm between projects. In those 2 minutes, these aren't problems to be solved. They're simply data points to be acknowledged. By the second week, you'll observe something remarkable happening throughout your day. When a wave of stress hits, there will be this tiny pause where you remember, this is just another thought cloud passing through. You'll begin to respond, rather than react. You'll start choosing your emotional state, instead of being hijacked by it. The ripple effects are huge. Your relationships improve because you're no longer dragging the chaos of your morning mind into every conversation. Your productivity gets a boost because you're operating from a place of clarity instead of confusion. Your self-compassion deepens as you practice this radical acceptance of your inner world. The best part about this habit is how portable it is. Stuck in traffic. 2-minute mind sweep. Waiting for your coffee to brew. Mind sweep. About to have a difficult conversation. Mind sweep. You're cultivating what Seneca called the discipline of desire. It's the capacity to want what you have and accept what is, all while still working towards what could be. This isn't about positive thinking or toxic optimism. It's not about convincing yourself everything is fine. It's about building the strength to be fully present with what is, and that's the bedrock of any real and lasting change. The moment you stop running from your thoughts and feelings, they surrender their power to control you. The person who commits to this for just 30 days becomes a stranger to the person they used to be, the one who was ambushed by their own mind every single morning. They move through life with a quiet assurance, knowing that no matter what thoughts surface, they have the capacity to hold them with grace. Speak this into existence right now by commenting, "I greet my thoughts with curiosity, not fear." Number 2, the gratitude archaeology dig. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. Seneca understood that transformation isn't about tacking more good things onto your life. It's about uncovering the good that's already present, hidden beneath layers of habit and assumption. The trouble with most gratitude practices is they're so surface level and generic. I'm grateful for my family, my health, my job. Sure, those are important, but after a few days, your brain just tunes it out. It's like replying fine when someone asks how you are. It's technically correct, but it misses all the beautiful detail that actually makes life worth living. This brings us to the second micro-habit, gratitude archaeology. Instead of just skimming the surface for the obvious blessings, you're going to dig deeper, hunting for the hidden treasures that everyone else walks right past. Here's the method. Once during your day, whenever it crosses your mind, you're going to become a detective of your own experience. You're on the lookout for one specific thing that went right. But here's the crucial twist, it can't be something big or obvious. You're hunting for the micro-moments, the tiny victories, the small kindnesses that typically slip by completely unnoticed. Maybe it was the way the barista got your coffee order exactly right without you having to ask. Maybe it was how your body instinctively stepped back when that car got a little too close. Maybe it's the simple fact that you remembered to water your plants, that your phone battery actually lasted all day, or that you found a parking spot on your first try. The Stoics practiced the discipline of perception, training themselves to see reality as it truly is, without the filter of their fears and expectations. Most of us are conditioned to see what's wrong, what's missing, and what needs fixing. This archaeological dig retrains your brain to notice what's working, what's present, and what's already perfect, exactly as it is. But it gets even deeper. Once you've identified your little treasure, you don't just say, "I'm grateful for this." You investigate it. Why did this particular moment catch your attention? What made it special? Who else played a part in making this good thing possible? This is where the real magic kicks in. Take that perfect cup of coffee, for instance. Someone, probably on the other side of the world, grew those beans. Someone else roasted them, transported them, and sold them to the cafe. The barista took the time to learn how to operate that complicated machine. The person in line ahead of you ordered quickly, keeping things moving. Your taste buds are working perfectly to detect all those intricate flavors. Your own nervous system is creating the sensation of satisfaction and warmth. Suddenly, that simple coffee isn't so simple anymore. It's a whole web of interconnection, a small miracle of human cooperation and natural abundance. You're not just grateful for coffee, you're amazed by the thousands of people and processes that all conspired to give you this one perfect moment. This practice physically rewires your brain. Neuroscientists call it neuroplasticity, your brain's lifelong ability to form new neural pathways. By consistently seeking out these micro-moments of goodness, you are literally strengthening the neural networks linked to appreciation, wonder, and contentment. After just 2 weeks, something remarkable occurs. You'll start noticing the good things in real time, not just during your designated dig. Your brain becomes a magnet for moments of beauty, connection, and grace that were always present, just invisible to your untrained eye. The ripple effects will transform your relationships, too. When you're trained to see the small kindnesses people offer, you naturally start offering more of your own. When you see how many invisible hands contribute to your daily experience, you become more generous, more patient, and more aware of your own impact on others. This isn't about ignoring problems or pretending life is flawless. Stoic gratitude is tougher than that. It's about building such a strong foundation of appreciation that you can face any challenge from a place of abundance, not scarcity. When you know, on a cellular level, that good things are constantly flowing through your experience, you become unshakable. The person who consistently practices gratitude archaeology becomes someone others are drawn to. Not because they're artificially cheerful, but because they see richness where everyone else just sees routine. They find treasure where others see only trash. They radiate a quiet confidence born from knowing that the world is fundamentally generous, even when it's also difficult. Your perception molds your reality far more than your circumstances ever could. When you change how you see, you change what's possible. This micro-habit takes less than 3 minutes, costs nothing, and yet it literally rewrites the story you tell yourself about the world you inhabit. Make your commitment known by dropping this in the comments. I am a treasure hunter in my own life. Number 3, the energy audit moment. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. With this, Marcus Aurelius captured a universal truth we rarely admit. We're constantly leaking our life force, our energy, to people, activities, and thoughts that drain us instead of sustaining us. Think about your phone battery for a second. When it starts dying unusually fast, you don't just accept it and resign yourself to carrying a charger everywhere. You check to see which apps are running in the background, silently draining power without providing any real value. You close them. You optimize. You protect your device's energy so it can be there for you when you truly need it. But when was the last time you performed an energy audit on your own life? The third micro-habit is the energy audit moment. Once a day, you're going to intentionally pause and ask yourself one simple, powerful question: right now, in this moment, am I gaining energy or am I losing it? And then, you're going to act on that information as if your life depends on it, because, in a very real way, it does. Here's how to do it. Set a random alarm on your phone, or attach this practice to something you already do daily, like washing your hands or opening the refrigerator. When that trigger moment comes, just stop whatever you're doing and tune into your body. Not your thoughts about how you should feel, but how you actually feel in this precise moment. Are your shoulders tight? Is your breathing shallow? Does your chest feel heavy or light? Is there tension in your jaw? These aren't just physical sensations, they're your body's early warning system, telling you whether your current situation is nourishing you or depleting you. The Stoics were acutely aware that our energy and attention are finite resources. Epictetus taught that we must be incredibly selective about where we invest these precious assets. He said, "Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants." This principle applies perfectly to emotional wealth. It's not about having more energy, but about fiercely protecting the energy you already have. Most people spend their whole lives merely reacting to energy drains instead of preventing them. They wait until they are completely burned out before making any changes. But by that point, they're making critical decisions from a place of deep depletion, which usually just leads to even more depletion. It's like trying to navigate a complex route when you're already hopelessly lost, far harder than just staying on track from the beginning. During your energy audit moment, you're not just noticing how you feel, you're taking immediate action. If you discover you're being drained, you have 3 choices. You can change the situation, change your response to the situation, or remove yourself from the situation entirely. The key is to act in that very moment, not file it away for someday. Maybe you realize you're scrolling through social media and feeling worse with every post. Close the app. Maybe you notice you're in a conversation that's just going in circles, draining everyone involved. Gently redirect it, or politely excuse yourself. Maybe you're holding tension in your body from a disagreement you had this morning. Just take 3 deep breaths and consciously let it go. This isn't about becoming selfish or avoiding every difficult situation. It's about developing what psychologists call emotional granularity, the ability to distinguish between different types of discomfort. Some discomfort comes from growth, challenge, and meaningful effort. This kind actually energizes you, even when it's hard. Other discomfort comes from situations that deplete you without any purpose, relationships that take without giving, and thoughts that spiral without resolution. The energy audit moment teaches you the critical difference. It helps you tell apart the good kind of tired, the kind that comes from fully using your gifts, from the bad kind of tired that comes from repeatedly betraying yourself. It helps you distinguish between the satisfying challenge of learning something new and the exhausting drain of people-pleasing, between healthy solitude and isolating withdrawal. Within a month of this practice, you'll develop what I call energy intuition. You'll start sensing energy shifts before they become overwhelming. You'll catch yourself saying yes to things that drain you before you're fully committed. You'll notice when you're around people who lift you up versus those who pull you down, and you'll start making choices accordingly. This micro-habit creates a protective boundary around your well-being that isn't rigid or defensive, but intelligent and responsive. You become like a skilled gardener who instinctively knows the difference between soil that will help plants thrive and soil that will stunt their growth. The person who consistently protects their energy becomes magnetic. Not because they're always happy or positive, but because they actually have energy available for the things that truly matter. They show up fully because they haven't scattered themselves across a dozen different energy drains. They have presence because they are genuinely present, not running on empty and just going through the motions. Your energy is your life force. How you choose to spend it determines not just what you accomplish, but the very person you become. This simple daily audit ensures you're investing in appreciation rather than depreciation, in relationships that multiply your energy instead of dividing it. If you're ready to live this out, write it in the comments. I protect my energy like the precious resource it is. Number 4, the compassion reset breath. Be kind, for everyone you meet is fighting a hard battle. This quote, often attributed to Plato, captures a truth that modern neuroscience has now confirmed. Our brains are wired for survival, not kindness. We're constantly scanning for threats, making judgments, and trying to protect ourselves from perceived dangers. But here's the really fascinating part: the person we are often harshest with isn't others. It's ourselves. Just listen to the voice inside your head for 5 minutes. Pay attention to how you talk to yourself when you make a mistake, when you're running late, when you fall short of your own expectations. Would you ever speak to a friend like that? Would you talk to a complete stranger that way? Most of us have an internal critic that would make a drill sergeant seem gentle by comparison. The 4th micro-habit is the compassion reset breath. It's specifically designed to interrupt that endless cycle of self-judgment that's constantly running in the background of most people's minds, and to create space for the kind of inner kindness that truly changes everything. Here's how it works. Whenever you catch yourself in an act of self-criticism, and you will, many times a day, you're going to take one single, conscious breath and silently say to yourself, "I'm doing the best I can with what I know right now." That's it. One breath, one gentle reminder. But don't underestimate it. The effects compound in ways that will genuinely surprise you. The Stoics understood that we suffer twice. Once from the actual problem, and then again from our judgment about the problem. Epictetus taught that it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that truly matters. But most of us skip right past the initial event and go straight to beating ourselves up over our reaction to it. We stub our toe and immediately call ourselves clumsy. We forget someone's name and decide we're terrible with people. We feel anxious and then judge ourselves for feeling anxious. Psychologists call this second arrow suffering. The first arrow is the original pain. You made a mistake, you're feeling overwhelmed, you said something awkward. The second arrow is the pain you willingly inflict on yourself by judging that first pain. The compassion reset breath stops that second arrow before it even has a chance to land. What makes this different from positive affirmations or self-help mantras? You're not trying to convince yourself that you're perfect or that mistakes don't matter. You're simply acknowledging a basic reality. You are doing the best you can with your current level of awareness, skills, and emotional capacity. This isn't about lowering your standards. It's about recognizing that genuine growth happens from a foundation of acceptance, not from a place of constant criticism. Think about how you learned to walk when you were a child. You fell down hundreds of times. Did you spend any time judging yourself for falling? Did you decide you were a failure at walking? Of course not. You just got back up and tried again. Why? Because there was no internal critic there yet, telling you that falling meant something negative about your worth as a person. The compassion reset breath returns you to that natural, untainted state of learning without self-attack. It creates what researchers call psychological safety, the internal environment where growth and real change can actually take root. When you're no longer using your precious energy to defend against your own criticism, you suddenly have so much more energy available for actual improvement. Here's a glimpse of what's happening in your brain during this simple practice. The conscious breath activates your parasympathetic nervous system, gently moving you out of fight or flight mode. The gentle self-talk releases oxytocin, the same hormone that creates bonding between mothers and babies. You are quite literally rewiring your neural pathways to default to kindness instead of criticism. After practicing this for just 2 weeks, something remarkable starts to happen. The voice in your head begins to shift. Instead of immediately jumping to a harsh judgment when something goes wrong, there's a pause now. A gentleness. A sense of curiosity about what you can learn, rather than a rush to condemn what went wrong. And this internal shift changes everything on the outside, too. When you stop attacking yourself, you will naturally stop attacking others. When you give yourself permission to be human, you'll find you extend that same grace to everyone around you. Your relationships will deepen because people feel safe around someone who has clearly made peace with their own imperfections. The ripple effects even touch your productivity and creativity. When you're not wasting mental energy on self-judgment, you have a much greater capacity for problem-solving, innovation, and joy. You'll take more risks because failure is no longer tied to your identity. You'll recover faster from setbacks because a setback doesn't mean anything about your fundamental worth as a person. This micro-habit is especially powerful because it doesn't require you to remember to do it. Your own inner critic becomes the trigger, the reminder. Every time you catch yourself in self-judgment, you have a new opportunity to practice. The very thing that used to drain your energy becomes the gateway to your restoration. The person who consistently practices this self-compassion becomes almost unrecognizable to their former, self-critical self. They move through the world with a quiet confidence that comes from unconditional self-acceptance. They inspire others, not through some impossible perfection, but through their willingness to be beautifully, imperfectly human. Declare this boldly below so the world knows what you're becoming. I speak to myself with the kindness I deserve. Number 5, the Daily Done Declaration. At the end of each day, before you go to sleep, ask yourself, what wounds did I heal? What failings did I resist? Where can I show improvement? In this way, the soul is put at rest through the daily scrutiny. Seneca wrote these words in his letters, practicing exactly what he preached by reviewing his days, not with harsh judgment, but with a loving awareness. Here's the brutal truth about modern life. We are relentlessly trained to focus on what we didn't accomplish. The email that's still sitting in our inbox. The project that's taking longer than we planned. The conversation we know we should have had but didn't. We go to bed each night carrying the heavy weight of incompletion, and we wake up the next morning already feeling behind. It's completely exhausting. And the good news is, it's completely optional. The fifth and final micro-habit is the Daily Done Declaration. Before you close your eyes each night, you're going to spend exactly 2 minutes celebrating what you actually did accomplish, no matter how small, instead of dwelling on everything you didn't finish. Here's how it works. As you're lying in bed, just before sleep takes over, you're going to mentally scan your day and identify 3 things you completed, handled, or moved forward. But here's the twist, again. They can't be big, obvious accomplishments. You're looking for the micro-victories. The small acts of care. The tiny steps forward that usually go completely unnoticed and uncelebrated. Maybe you responded to a text from a friend who was going through a tough time. Maybe you chose the salad instead of the fries. Maybe you held the elevator for someone who was running to catch it. Maybe you finally organized one drawer, watered one plant, or remembered to take your vitamins. Maybe you chose not to react when a person was rude to you in line. Maybe you just petted your cat for an extra minute because it made both of you happy. The Stoics called this practice evening reflection. But most people get it completely wrong. They turn it into a harsh performance review, zeroing in on everything they should have done differently. But true Stoic reflection is about recognition, not criticism. It's about seeing clearly what actually happened, including everything that went well, so you can consciously build on those positive patterns. Seneca understood something that our modern productivity culture has completely forgotten. Completion is far more important than perfection. When you take the time to acknowledge what you've already accomplished, you create what psychologists call implementation momentum. Your brain starts to see you as someone who follows through, someone who takes care of business, someone who can be counted on, especially by yourself. This practice actually rewires your reticular activating system, the part of your brain that acts as a filter for what you notice throughout the day. When you consistently look for completions at night, you'll start noticing opportunities for small accomplishments during the day. You'll begin to see progress where you used to only see problems. Most people end their days feeling like they didn't do enough because they're measuring themselves against an impossible, abstract standard of perfect productivity. But true productivity isn't about doing everything. It's about doing something meaningful and then acknowledging that it matters. The daily done declaration teaches your entire nervous system a profound truth, that you are enough. You do enough. You accomplish enough, exactly as you are, right now. Here's what happens after just a month of this practice. You'll start sleeping better because you're going to bed with a genuine sense of completion and peace, rather than anxiety. You'll wake up with more energy because you're not dragging yesterday's perceived failures into today. You'll become more motivated during the day because you know that whatever you accomplish, big or small, will be noticed and celebrated by the most important person in your life, you. The ripple effects will transform your relationships, too. When you're in the habit of noticing and celebrating small accomplishments in yourself, you'll naturally start noticing and celebrating them in others. You'll become the kind of person who sees what people are doing right, instead of what they're doing wrong. And this makes you incredibly magnetic, because everyone is absolutely starving for recognition and genuine appreciation. This isn't about lowering your standards or becoming complacent. It's about recognizing that sustainable progress happens through the consistent acknowledgement of small steps, not through the constant criticism of imperfect performance. When you feel genuinely appreciated for what you contribute, even when that appreciation comes from yourself, you will naturally want to contribute even more. The Daily Done Declaration also trains you to see your entire life differently, as a series of small gifts you give to yourself and to others throughout the day, rather than an endless list of obligations you're constantly failing to meet. This shift in perspective changes everything. You start seeing opportunities to care instead of burdens to carry. You start seeing ways you can contribute instead of ways you're falling short. The person who practices this consistently becomes someone who radiates a quiet satisfaction. Not because their life is perfect, but because they've trained themselves to see the perfection that's already there, right in the midst of beautiful imperfection. They inspire others, not through their grand achievements, but through their remarkable ability to find meaning and completion in the most ordinary of moments. Your days are absolutely full of small victories. Your life is incredibly rich with micro-accomplishments. This practice simply trains you to see what is already beautifully true. You are constantly creating value, showing care, and moving forward, one small, powerful choice at a time. Affirm this publicly so the universe can hear you. I celebrate the progress I make every single day. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now. This ancient Chinese proverb perfectly captures where you are in this exact moment. You can't go back and start taking care of yourself earlier. But you can start today. You can start right now. And you can do it with these 5 micro-habits that will transform you from the inside out. Here's a glimpse of what the next 30 days will look like. Your mornings will grow calmer as the 2-minute mind sweep creates a little space between you and your thoughts. Your days will become richer as gratitude archaeology trains you to see the treasure in ordinary moments. Your energy will stabilize as you learn to audit and protect it like the precious resource it is. Your inner critic will soften as the compassion reset breath replaces harsh judgment with gentle understanding. And your nights will become more peaceful as the Daily Done Declaration helps you see the real progress you're making every single day. But the real magic, the profound shift, happens when these habits all work together. You'll notice opportunities for microcare throughout your day that you were completely blind to before. You'll develop an unshakable sense of your own worth that no longer depends on external validation. You'll become someone who inspires others simply by showing them what self-respect looks like in action. 6 months from now, people are going to ask you, what's different about you? And you'll just smile, knowing it wasn't one dramatic, life-altering change. It was 5 small choices, repeated daily, that created a completely new version of yourself. A version that was always there, just waiting for permission to finally emerge. Your transformation starts with your very next breath. Your future self is counting on the choice you make right now. Don't wait for motivation to strike. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Start small. Start today. Start now. Hit that like button if these micro habits resonated with you. Share this video with someone who needs this powerful reminder that transformation doesn't demand perfection, it just asks for consistency. And subscribe for more practical wisdom that actually, truly works in the real world. And always remember, you're not trying to become someone new. You are finally, beautifully becoming who you have always been, underneath everything else.